This is video number 26, if you can believe it, of this whole series for COM 215. This particular video is just for you. We've covered throughout the semester a lot of skills associated with organizational and business speech communications, interpersonal communications, small group communications, and supervision. Hopefully, you will return to those in the future whenever you need them. This video has nothing to do what we've covered so far, and it may have everything to do with helping you define and chart your life for the rest of your life careers. I'm a great believer, and it is one of the secrets to success, that those people that achieve more, who maximize more of themselves, who remain consistent, yet adaptive and resilient, almost to a person, has a written statement of their personal purpose, which they have memorized, which they have worked on and reduced to maybe 7 key power words that becomes a living, breathing document, a motto for themselves. Remember when you were in middle school or high school, you had an existential crisis of who am I? What am I all about? Yeah, that is natural. That is even normal. What those cries reach out for is having some kind of pathway, some kind of purpose to live that. You might have heard of the phrase, to live a purpose-driven life. Wonderful. That implies you have a clearly defined and refined sense of purpose. So today I'm going to share with you some secrets of how to define it, refine it, and use it. Some of you have heard of the great architect and social scientist by the name of R. Buckminster Fuller. Bucky Fuller, he was known. He was the person who most famously invented the geodesic dome. Early in his life, in the 1930s, he was living in Chicago, despondent. His wife had died. He lost his career during the Great Depression, and he was out on the shore of Lake Michigan in a cold January day, wanting to commit suicide. He was planning just to jump in the lake and freeze away. Then something came to him as he was standing on those rocks. He said this later. He said, "What is my job on this planet? What is it that needs doing that I know something about that probably won't happen unless I take responsibility for it?" Those words came out to him, and he turned around, stepped off those rocks back onto the shore, and started saying that I need to do things that matter. And there is a world out there that needs me. That was his way of finding his own sense of purpose. In my speeches, in my psychology courses, I usually have somewhere in there to have people have a show of hands of how many of them have a written statement on them in their purse or their wallets of their personal purpose. Typically, no matter how large the group is, it's usually one person, maybe 2 people that can raise their hands. And ideally, those people know more about themselves, know how to honor their ways, their pathways, and how to maximize more of themselves. Now, purpose is not your goals or your plans or your action steps. No, those stem off from your own personal set of purpose. Remember, we had talked about the organizational mission about 4 videos ago. This is the personal equivalent of that, even more honored, having your own sense of purpose. That is the core. That is the hub, if you will, of your own wheel, from which the spokes of the wheel are specific goals, and then plans and action steps on the tires parts of the wheel. But at the core, at the hub, is your own sense of purpose. Jim Cathcart is a famous speaker from La Jolla, California. And in a business setting, he said this: without purpose, there is no productivity. This is almost being reborn today after the Great Resignation, saying people want to have a sense of purpose that aligns themselves with their career or with the organization they're with. Without that total commitment, that total involvement, and the appreciation of that, there is no productivity. There is no consistent teamwork. On a personal level, what matters to you? And what do you matter about what to do with your life? Purpose is the symbolic rudder. If you know what a rudder is on a ship, that helps guide us, to help us stay on course throughout the wild seas of change. We have all been victims over the last 3 years, as I record this at the end of 2021, of COVID and how it's been an upheaval in our lives. Those people with a sense of purpose, I have found out, tend not to be burned out as much, tend to learn how to pivot, how to adapt. If they have more adversity, they are become more resilient. Purpose is that symbolic rudder that keeps us on course through the wild seas of change. You see this. Purpose helps us endure, particularly during the tough times. When dreams flicker, purpose rekindles. When motivation ebbs, purpose energizes. When goals are forgotten, purpose resurrects. When support erodes, purpose bolsters. When opposition discourages, purpose encourages. When perspective clouds, purpose clarifies. When confusion pervades, purpose focuses. When frustration rises, purpose focuses. When loneliness freezes, purpose keeps us warm. When ego inflates us, purpose keeps us humble. When giving up tempts, purpose helps us persist. And when success fattens us, purpose keeps us hungry. Having this sense of purpose is like a guiding light within you that keeps you true to yourself, true to your dreams, and true to the people who matter to you. Hopefully this makes sense. We are meaning-making creatures. We want to do things that are meaningful in our lives, that matter, that even make a difference. Even though sometimes we're tempted by our career or making money, deep down inside of us, we are meaning-making creatures. So I'm going to share with you how to start almost a systematic way of how to start defining and expanding and refining your sense of purpose. I've been helping people with this since, oh golly, the 1980s. And a lot of these steps work and have been proven successful. I don't know which ones work for you. So you might want to take notes specifically in the next 7 or 8 minutes when I'm sharing with you. I read a book that was a classic book of the time by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. This originally came out in the 1920s, and though it has outdated and even sexist language, one of the things Napoleon Hill mentioned is that all the people of the early 20th century he interviewed and learned about, almost to a person, he said, had a clearly defined sense of purpose. And that led me down a path to if I can start creating that. And what I found out is that's once I started tuning in on this, I had to expand a lot on this sense of purpose. And it took time. And I found out that it was as meaningful for me to explore what's important to me as the end results. There was an expanding of this process. And then after I think I put everything in there, then I started refining it and bringing it down. My goal with the people I assist with this process that sometimes takes months, my goal is, can you reduce it to 7 key power words. And they almost become like a pieces of a puzzle after a while, that when it fits, it connects with another and expands energy. So it goes through this process of just either through writing things down, writing notes down, doing mind mapping, if you're familiar with that, doing drawings, or even if you're familiar with the old English, old European notions of a coat of arms that's over the door. Can you, in many of those ways, start expanding what is important to you? Antoine Saint-Exupéry in his book, The Little Prince, had a marvelous phrase that said that what is essential is invisible to the eye. This purpose is essential and is invisible to the eye. You cannot touch it, you cannot feel it, you can't even measure it sometimes. It is invisible to the eye. There was a writer by the name of Mary Shelley that said this: nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind than purpose. So for developing us, for helping us cope with the tough times, having a purpose will see us through. Okay. Hopefully I've sold you on the importance of this. You have to sell yourself on the importance of this. That's why I'm putting this at the end of our semester together, that you may have some time to spend time working on this, playing with this. I'm going to share with you 10 dimensions that people have used to define their sense of purpose. So ready to take notes on this. The first one is asking yourself such questions as, what are my values? What are my priorities? What are my standards? What are my morals and ethical and my behavior? Do I have a code of personal conduct? Do I have a code of ethics? Asking yourself these big questions. And now these aren't goals. These are what you possess, looking at your own values. What is important to you? What are my values, my standards, my priorities, my code of conduct and standards? What do I have that is essentially right for me? Do I have my moral compass tuned in? Number 2 dimension is, how do you bring out your best innermost character? You know, when you're being your best, exuding your best, you're connected with yourself and the situation, that is just marvelous. And you can do that from this core of your sense of purpose. Talking about your integrity, your class, your humility, your empathy for others, your kindness, your personal communication style, personal relationship style. How do you bring out your best character using those? I mentioned a coat of arms. If you were to draw a coat of arms, what would it include? Key figures or shapes, colors, words? Is there a motto you go by? Some people like drawing their own personal coat of arms. Here's something for number 4 that people don't embrace enough, and that is, what do you accept? It's as simple and as profound as that. What do you accept about yourself, about what you're able to do? What can you accept about relationships in your lives? What can you accept about your career in your life? You see, without acceptance, you cannot build upon your qualities. Without acceptance, you cannot change things around. You usually push yourself too hard by expecting. The opposite of expecting is accepting. Accepting is not a way to dismiss things. Accepting is a way to ennoble and empower things in your life. Our 5th one looks at what the science of positive psychology has been emphasizing. What are you most and continually grateful for. Gratitude, particularly what we've been going through in the last 3 years during the pandemic, gratitude seems to be a band-aid, a salve, a healing approach to maximize what we can do. Too often we're thinking about what we've lost or we can't do anymore. Gratitude, along with acceptance, helps us key into what we have and appreciating that even more. Number 6 is an acronym I created about what is your personal path and how can you stay on that personal path. I came up with the acronym PATH, P-A-T-H. And I came up with a handout there that gave people options of how to create their own acronym for the most important word that starts with the letter P, then A, then T, then H. As you start expanding on your purpose, going to pages or notebooks full or drawings full, sometimes you need, in terms of refining it, to bring it down with one word that represents a whole other bunch of concepts, that saying that one word knows that it is a cue for those other concepts. So here are some words I've come up with for the letter P on our path. Of course, purpose, perseverance, positivity, priorities, personal power, pure, present, and perform. And what other P words you might come up with that best represent and symbolize some of your strongest qualities. Our A in our acronym for PATH is awareness, being attentive, being attuned, having positive, realistic attitudes, our old friend acceptance, acts, doing things, actions, implementing things, also adapting to adversity, or what other A word that you come up with. Our T in PATH is trust and trusting. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust relationships? Another T word is true. Another T word is tasks. Two meanings of that, which is your own personal mission to task. And there was another phrase that a lot of people said that have their sense of purpose. They say they have a sacred task to fulfill, to serve. Another T word is thirst, thirst for improvement, thirst for knowledge, tenacity, tolerance of yourself, tolerance of others, tolerance of situations. Here's an old-fashioned word, temperance, being careful with your mind and body. Another word is T for transform, or what other T words that matter to you. Our H in our formula starts with the two definitions of honor, both as a noun and as a verb. Here is what I am honorable with, or here's how I honor myself and honor others. Honesty, hope, humor, happiness, harmony, humble, humility, heartfelt, or higher, or any other H word you come up with. Together, these four letters, P, A, T, H, and with the words that embody some of those, you can help define your path and stay on your path. Here is a poem I love, and for the life of me, I cannot remember who wrote it. It said, search for yourself by yourself. It goes like this. Do not allow others to make your path for you. It is your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you. Accept yourself in your actions. Own your own thoughts. Speak up when wrong and apologize. Know your path at all times. To do this, you must know yourself inside and out. Accept your gifts as well as your shortcomings. And grow each day with honesty, integrity, compassion, faith, and brotherhood. So our notions of path, of finding your path, carving out your path, honoring your path, is the sixth of our 10 steps. Number 7, we talked about this earlier. What is your calling? Yeah, you may have a job, you may have a career. Listen hard to yourself, because the more you tune into your sense of purpose, the more you can translate that into your livelihood, right livelihood, of what is your calling. The people who say they have a sacred task in life combine their livelihood with their personal purpose. What I found in helping people over the decades help define and expand and refine and apply their sense of purpose, 2 themes come out a lot, about 85% of the time, and that is passion and service. What are you passionate about that you need to do, that you want to do, even though there's no money involved with it or even any sources of recognition? What do you want to do that turns you on, that gets your juices flowing, that you know you make a difference? And also having this sense of service. Who do I want to serve? How do I want to serve them? It could be your local community, could be your profession, it could be your family. But service and this service identity is intrinsically linked, and it helps form your sense of purpose. Here's something that I added just in the last 10 years or so. Number 9 on our list is, what legacy would you like to leave? Sometimes if we go to the end of our lives, we can back up and say, what kind of legacy do we want to leave? And that helps us create some steps to implement that. Barbara Fredrickson, who was one of the pioneers of the positive psychology movement, said this: go about your life thinking how you can leave the world as a better place each and every day. Some people like to see the end results of their lives, and then looking at a legacy. What do you want to leave? And what are the steps now that you have to take to leave that legacy? And then finally, with all of this stuff, how can you live a purpose-driven life? It is fairly easy to do once you connect with your sense of purpose. These 10 steps, you don't have to follow all these steps, or nor do they go in the sequence I gave you. But many people have found 1 or 2 or 6 or 7 of these that they need to spend time on reflecting, writing about, even talking with friends about it. But what are some of those steps you need to take? That's why I asked you to take notes about these, so you can start figuring out how to address those. One of my students who took a couple of my courses, Jules Crable, said, my purpose statement feels like home. And that was just so beautifully and wonderfully said, that throughout the 2 courses she took on consecutive semesters from me, she knew she was actively working on her sense of purpose. And it took her 2 semesters to start coming close to that. She said the more in touch she felt with her sense of purpose, the more it just felt right, felt at home. You will know, and here's a barometer I found out, you will know deep down within yourself when you are close to refining your sense of purpose and having a solid purpose statement, when you spend less energy on it and actually start receiving energy from it. It's a giving source as well as an honoring source. Then we're in a position to start living a purpose-driven life. This is one of the secrets to becoming a success and staying a success. not only in your careers, but also in all elements of your lives, living an interconnected life so that you can live this purpose-driven life. I'm presenting this to you as my gift to you for sticking it out with me through this course, through these stressful and tumultuous 8 weeks together in COM 215. This working on your purpose can be the most significant thing you've done this whole semester, or maybe this entire year, or even this period of your life. Start dreaming, connecting, reconnecting with your sense of purpose. Just in the last couple of years, as you can see, I am old and increasingly feeble. And I've been asking people my age and older, does their purpose change as they age? And the ones who had a sense of purpose said, yeah, it seems to have changed as I go through different phases in my life, or my family becomes more important to me. So the purpose you define now may be there forever or for a great portion of your life. For example, I'm going to share with you my 7-word purpose statement that I had through most of my life up until about 6 years ago. Mine was to empower individual performance and organizational productivity. My role, my calling was to empower individuals to help perform better and help organizations to become more humane. That subsumed me personally as well as professionally. And that served me well to stay grounded, stay on my paths, if you will, for most of my careers and most of my life. About 6 years ago now, it seemed to change. And I do not share with you my 3-word personal purpose statement now. Only my wife knows that. And as such, this may be one of the most personal things you develop. Don't share it with everybody. Maybe just share it with people who are important to you. It is yours to hold on to cherish like some kind of gift. That's why I've put this video at the end of the semester and making it worth 2 reflections points of 80 points. That's the same amount of points as one of the essay midterm questions. It's that important, I think. I would want you to write and expand what your personal purpose is. This may go over the 250 words, may go over pages, whatever is appropriate for you, because we need to address it directly, work on it, sleep on it, revise it, expand upon it so you can start refining it. So as such, when this is due for 80 points, you'll send it in to me, but I won't read it. I just want to make sure you've done something that is personal to you, and I won't read it. You're in charge of your personal purpose, so you will honor that. You want to make wise decisions in your lives? You want to be of service to others? Do you want to leave the legacy you would like to do? Would you like to be the kind of person you've dreamed about? Can you have the courage and persistence to keep on expanding yourself and transforming yourself? It starts and maybe ends with a sense of purpose. Again, the journey of discovering it and refining it is as valuable as the words you come up with. Don't believe me, but find out for yourselves and enjoy that path.